The night sky over Tel Aviv, once defined by the glow of a Mediterranean metropolis and the steady hum of a global tech hub, has recently been transformed into a theater of kinetic energy. Streaks of light arc across the darkness, marking the paths of interceptors meeting ballistic threats in the upper atmosphere, while the low, rhythmic wail of air raid sirens serves as a persistent reminder of a shifting security landscape. For the millions of residents in Israel's economic heart, the transition from daily life to emergency response has become a matter of seconds, often fewer than 30. This sudden intensification of the regional security environment follows a significant series of events in early 2026. Specifically, a major strike against Iranian military facilities in late February. Tehran characterized that action as an unacceptable escalation, triggering a direct response through a wave of ballistic missile launches. As these projectiles crossed regional borders, they challenged not only the physical defenses of the state but also the long-standing strategic assumptions of the Middle East. The current situation represents more than just a momentary flare-up, it is a profound intersection of sophisticated military technology and human endurance. Israel's integrated air defense network, comprising the Iron Dome, David Sling, and the Arrow systems, is widely regarded as one of the most advanced multi-layered shields in the world. However, the recent strikes have demonstrated that even the most robust defenses face the reality of saturation and technical limits. Reports of missiles penetrating these layers and impacting residential areas in Tel Aviv have introduced a new gravity to the conflict. These incidents, resulting in casualties and significant structural damage, highlight the persistent vulnerability of urban centers in an era of high-speed, long-range weaponry. The city now exists in a dual state of being, where the normal mode of cafes and commerce persists only until the emergency mode is triggered by an alarm. This duality reflects a broader regional tension that has moved beyond proxy skirmishes into a direct and overt confrontation between major powers, forcing the international community to re-evaluate the stability of global trade routes and the durability of existing diplomatic frameworks. To understand the current trajectory, one must look closely at the geopolitical calculus of the actors involved. For Iran, the decision to launch a direct ballistic response from its own territory marks a departure from historical reliance on regional intermediaries. This shift suggests a strategic pivot intended to establish a new level of deterrence, signaling that strikes on its sovereign military infrastructure will meet with direct kinetic consequences. From a military perspective, the use of ballistic missiles provides Tehran with a tool of asymmetric escalation, designed to test the economic and psychological resilience of an adversary while demonstrating its own technological reach. The question for strategic analysts is whether this represents a temporary show of force or the beginning of a sustained campaign intended to reshape the regional security architecture. If Tehran perceives that its conventional strikes can bypass premier defense systems, it may feel empowered to assert more influence over regional maritime corridors or energy markets, potentially impacting the global economy far beyond the borders of the Levant. Conversely, the Israeli defense posture is rooted in the necessity of maintaining an active defense that is both technological and psychological. The multi-layered system is designed to provide a fail-safe for the population, but its primary strategic value lies in the time it buys for political decision-makers. By neutralizing the majority of incoming threats, the defense systems prevent the kind of mass casualty events that would necessitate a total regional war. However, the recent penetrations of this shield suggest that the cost of defense is rising. Interceptor missiles are significantly more expensive than the ballistic missiles they target, creating an economic attrition gap that becomes a factor in long-term strategic planning. As Tel Aviv faces these incursions, the Israeli government must weigh the benefits of restraint against the domestic pressure to restore a sense of absolute security. This leads to a complex scenario. If the shield is seen as permeable, does it force a more aggressive sword response? The world watches to see if the Israeli response will target specific military assets or if it will seek to degrade the industrial capabilities that fuel the missile programs of its adversary. The implications of this escalation extend deep into the realm of international security and global economics. Tel Aviv is not merely a city, it is a node in the global financial and technological network. Prolonged instability in such a center can lead to capital flight, disruptions in the global tech supply chain, and increased insurance premiums for shipping in the eastern Mediterranean. Furthermore, the involvement of two major regional powers raises the specter of a wider conflict that could draw on global superpowers. The United States, with its long-standing security commitments in the region, and Russia and China, with their burgeoning interests and partnerships, all find themselves navigating a delicate diplomatic minefield. A miscalculation by any party could lead to a closure of the Strait of Hormuz or a disruption of gas fields in the Mediterranean, events that would trigger a global energy crisis. The international community is currently focused on whether a de-escalation ladder exists or if the regional players have entered a cycle where every action necessitates an even larger reaction to maintain credibility. From a technical standpoint, the recent events serve as a real-world testing ground for modern missile doctrine. Military observers are analyzing the performance of the Arrow 3 system against medium-range ballistic missiles and the ability of David's Sling to handle maneuvers in the mid-atmosphere. These technical outcomes will likely influence the defense budgets and procurement strategies of nations worldwide. For instance, European countries currently modernizing their own air defenses may look to the lessons of the Tel Aviv strikes to understand how to defend against saturation attacks. At the same time, the effectiveness of the Iranian missile barrages provides data to other nations looking to develop their own long-range strike capabilities. This creates a global feedback loop where technology developed for one regional conflict informs the military posture of states on the other side of the planet. It raises a critical analytical question: are we entering an era where defensive technology can no longer keep pace with offensive innovation, and if so, how does that change the way nations perceive the risk of going to war? Looking toward the future, several hypothetical scenarios emerge. In one scenario, the current exchange leads to a frozen conflict, where both sides accept a certain level of periodic kinetic exchange as the new baseline, managed by advanced defense systems and limited retaliatory strikes. In another, more volatile scenario, a single high-casualty event caused by a missed interception could trigger a full-scale regional war involving ground maneuvers and the targeting of critical infrastructure across the Middle East. Such an outcome would likely redraw the map of regional alliances and could lead to a permanent shift in how energy is transported and priced globally. There is also the possibility of a diplomatic breakthrough, where the sheer risk of total war forces both parties to seek a new red line through back-channel negotiations. However, the current domestic political climates in both Tehran and Jerusalem make such a compromise difficult to achieve without significant external pressure from the global community. As we reflect on the sirens over Tel Aviv and the flashes in the night sky, it is clear that the region has entered a transformative chapter. The residents of the city, transitioning between their normal and emergency lives, are the human faces of a high-stakes geopolitical game. The events of early 2026 have stripped away the illusion that distance or technology can provide absolute immunity from the consequences of regional rivalry. For the global observer, understanding this situation requires a balance of technical knowledge, historical context, and an objective view of the strategic goals of all parties involved. This is not a conflict that can be reduced to simple narratives of victory or defeat. It is a complex struggle over the future of regional order and the limits of modern military power. The situation remains fluid, and the long-term impacts on international stability are still being written. Whether through the lens of defense technology, geopolitical strategy, or the lived experience of those on the ground, the events in Tel Aviv serve as a profound case study in the challenges of the 21st century. The reliance on advanced systems like the Iron Dome and the Arrow suggests a future where security is increasingly automated, yet the persistence of casualties and destruction reminds us that the human cost remains the ultimate variable. Moving forward, the global community must grapple with the reality that the calm of the past was perhaps more fragile than realized. It is essential to continue monitoring these developments with a commitment to factual analysis and an awareness of the broader implications for a world that is more interconnected than ever before. The tension in Tel Aviv is a symptom of a much larger shift in the global balance of power. It challenges our understanding of deterrence, the efficacy of missile defense, and the resilience of urban populations under pressure. By examining these events through a rational and evidence-based lens, we gain a clearer picture of the risks and the potential pathways toward a more stable international environment. The questions raised by this conflict about the limits of technology, the necessity of diplomacy, and the cost of escalation will likely dominate the strategic discourse for years to come. As the night sky over the Mediterranean continues to be monitored by sensors and citizens alike, the world remains at a crossroads, waiting to see if the next light in the sky is a sign of an interceptor or the dawn of a more peaceful era.